All right, hello everybody, welcome back for another breakdown, and today something a little bit different. It's not exactly the framework, but it's a good looking commercial that has some sequences that are less than ideal for blocking inside of the room relative to using the framework and the ideas of shooting into the window, shooting into the shadow, using the L of the room to help provide depth. And we're gonna look at that. We're gonna see what a very skilled cinematographer will do in that situation to try and combat it. And then eventually we'll find that really it's an uphill battle. It's really, really hard to do no matter how good you are. There are just certain things that don't look as nice as other things. So that is it. You guys have asked for it, looking for sequences or commercials that don't follow the framework rules, and that's what we're gonna get in today. So let's go. Okay, first things first, as we play through this commercial, this is probably, let's go see if we can go back to it here. This is the definition of the perfect window art direction. All right, you've got these curtains that are a beautiful, nice little color, and they allow just a little bit of leak through them, right? So you can see that color, and that sort of disseminates into the room. But you can also, you've got enough fabric that you can bunch them at the end to stop that color leak, right? So if we go, actually we won't go full screen yet, because what I'm gonna do, we've got this combination of shears, right? And then some sort of foggy day out there, or you've put diffusion out there just so you can't see what's past the window. And luckily enough, it's out of focus so that you can't really see what's out there. The other trick here is if you don't want to see what's out there, right? You put this big 12 by 12 in front of the window, or behind the window in this case, outside. Then you just spray some water on the window. You got yourself a rainy, white, misty day out there. That's very moody. But these things, curtains, and then these beautiful shears that go all the way down across the window, they just allow the cinematographer to really control the room tone that is in here, right? Because then if you want less, you can bunch this up more so you get less of that colored light. If you want it, you can just take some of these away, right? Because normally the art department, they will give you sections of these. So you'll have 1 or 2 or 3 sections that you can add onto the window to bunch it up more, rather than just being one piece of fabric, right? That just gives yourself options that you can play with, because this is the mood that we are going for. This down here, right? These low levels of light, but there's just enough information in the toe to make it feel not clipped. It's just fattened up. It's still interesting, yet your eye is going immediately to here where there is some light level, and you can see even here looking straight outside, no fill. We're nowhere near clipping, right? It's just keeping it nice and down and dark, and very little coming back this way, because we're not lighting from inside the room, which is great. Also, this frame here, using this door slightly open, which gives us just that little run of depth shooting along the table here. If you're gonna shoot straight into the lit window, this is normally the path that you're going to want to take. That's not even what we wanted to talk about, right? This is just something that you should look at, because this is really good for art direction, right? If you want to show somebody on your team, hey, what are we looking for when it comes to shears and curtains? That density, the little pattern, the shears, then Old Mate. He just sticks his head out there, and we are starting. So we're starting on the framework, right? We do this little push in. See, yes, tears like tears in the rain. Oh, sad, less good. Now, this is the framework angle of this commercial, right? And we'll talk a little bit about it, but then I want to show you the non-framework angle, right? This is this little nod to the dog. This is why montage commercials are significantly easier. You can make montage ads look great, because if this is a montage ad and this is like, I don't know, for HP or something, and they're selling their new laptop, and you're talking about people working from home, COVID craziness, like let's show everyone getting all their work done, and we show this guy, and then we cut to somebody else in their location, we show them. You're only going to show the best angle of the room, which is this angle, right? We've got a little bit of doorway here. We're shooting along the bed, along the desk, into the window. And yes, we can see the window that we are lighting from, which is not ideal. But in this situation, you can do the above overreach of the light, right? Where you just light up the shear to what you want. And then the real level is coming from up here. Always easier in anamorphic than it is in spherical, because you've got less height in the frame. So you can really right there get the light mats out, or get the Titan tubes out, or however you're going to push light into this room. You can do it if it's not as tall, it's slightly easier. But still, this is the framework angle, right? Looking into the L of the room so we get depth here, Like we've got all sorts of good things. We've got slightly blockier curtains, but still have shears, something to break it up, and then these nice little reflections in the oak. This is the angle that you would choose if this is a montage ad. Now, where things go pear-shaped is we're gonna have 4 or 5 scenes in these various rooms, and there's gonna be an interaction between our solo character and his little friend over here. This is where it gets a little bit harder. Well, when I say a little bit harder, it's significantly harder. So this one, again, still frame. He gives this little nod over here, and we're still lighting from this way. We still got shadow this side. Look at how the shadow changes, right? We're all lit up here on the shadowy side. And as soon as we go to the next shot, like even if we pause it on the front part, where is it? Right there, right? You got a little bit coming back, but turn, we're into shadow, right? Even though he's looking the opposite way, this is not the bad shot. I mean, it's hard because, you know, it's hard to make them look good because you got this light wrapping around this way. It's dark over there, but you're balancing to the room tone. We're doing okay here. This one, this is the hard one, right? This is the hard angle. And this is the one where the director and you're sitting there, you're blocking the whole thing out, and you say, do you really need this angle back at the dog? Do we really need that one? The director says, yeah, no, because it's all about the connection. You say, yeah, but what about if it was a montage? Then you wouldn't need the connection. And they say, yeah, that's not the job. So we need this shot. And you go, okay. Because now, what are we doing here? How do we create shape in here, right? It's just all one level. We got a little bit of something here, but it's hard to create depth because we're shooting right into this wall. There's a little bit here, but it only gets harder from here, right? That's like the first little shot. You can see it play out, this doorway stuff we've talked about. They call this one the framework killer or the career killer if you're a cinematographer and you're just starting out. This one, okay, like we got a little bit of door, we're lighting from over here where we can't see where the light is actually coming from, right? This one's okay. We got some depth shooting into the L of this room back here. So again, to create more depth, we got haze inside this house, and there's a little bit of light coming this way, but you know where the trouble's gonna be, right? Because we've chosen to look this way, we're not, you know, the camera's not back here looking this way into the room we just saw, right? We're gonna wanna see his face here, and he's gonna come in. So we've chosen now to be shooting from the window where all the natural light is coming from, looking towards it, which is gonna be all flat front lit. This is not easy, right? Even if we do our little practical tricks in the background, even if we're trying to light and darken the frame across it, light, dark, light on his face, dark on the shadow, light over here, we're trying all these tricks, but it doesn't work unless you get the very base of it right. This is the hard one. This is the hard one. How do you make shape back here? Even though we got curtains, like all back here is fine, but now we are lighting from over here. Because there's no window in this room, we're just smushing it, right? There's nowhere to light from over here, upstage, that way. So you just have to bring all the light from here, which flattens everything off. Just a really, really hard, probably the hardest place you could pick in this room to light, right? Because over in this corner, easy, we already looked at it. Over in this corner, also easy. Over in the other corner, at least you have the depth of this in the background. Whereas this corner of the room, it's like, oh man, this is trouble. But what are you gonna do? You're not gonna put the camera over there tucked in the corner and shoot out this way. So it's like finding another way in the blocking to get this. Again, we're already on, I mean, we're trying to be on the shadow side, but it's all getting fronty again as well, you know? So we see, oh, then this is killer. We go from here to this one to this face shot. Again, at least you can see what the cinematographer's trying to do, right? We're trying to get some depth. So we're not gonna go this shot from over here, the camera over here, this next close-up. We're not gonna do it from over here looking this way. We're gonna do it from over here looking this way, because remember I said at least that way, there is some depth behind this guy. Because if you're shooting the other way, which is the side of the line you'd imagine you'd be on, you'd be shooting into that corner where it's just flat. No good, light just smushing from the front. It's just really, really hard to do. And then this one, back to that one, back to the wide. Oh man, it's hard. Like how do you make this more interesting? You're not gonna create a ray out of the wall, like, and have a slash of sunlight on the background. It's just really hard to make things interesting because we've boxed ourselves in. Right? Anytime the window is to your back, that's not a good sign. Same thing as where if you see a cinematographer that has, you know, the classic, they say if you see a cinematographer with a sunburn on their neck, chances are they're doing the nightly news, right? Where if you're shooting a movie, you want a sunburned DP. You want a leathery cinematographer, just like in the face, just completely red, because they've been looking at the light all day long. Here, at least you get something, right? Like we're still manipulating the light a little bit, but it's just a really hard setup. Then this one, again, back to this one, he sort of leans into the shadow, back to the dog. That's just a really hard setup. Whereas you take that, okay, take that scene, remember that one, because this is the tricky one, right? Just flat. And if we look at the scopes, what does that give us? All right, so they're basically all floating around. There's a little hint over here because of this highlight, and you pick him out a little bit, right? Because he's a little bit brighter, this little thing here, a little bit brighter, but really it's all pretty much flat, very little variance across the frame. Then we go to same house, same sort of setup, or at least supposedly the same house, which is this one. Okay, now we're already winning, right? Now we're in the office. Is that the bed over there? Is this the exact same room? I think it is. So now we're not looking through the window that we are lighting from. Variance, see the variance over here? Even though we don't want to get too hot, you know, you want it somewhere in there like that. You have some salt and pepper across the frame. Basically this thing, drawing somebody's eye. These little reflections in here reflecting this. That hint of the window. Then using the curtain in the shot to say, well, how much do we want that back wall to be lit up? Say, if you didn't have that curtain here, this whole back wall would be lit up. We don't want that. We want something fast and easy. I mean, you could fix it from the outside, but again, that's asking more teammates to come on board. Hey, do this, get on the ones and twos, get on the walkie-talkies and be like, hey, can you move that flag out there just a little bit? No, my left, not your left, my left. And then you end up just opening up the window. Hey, move it that way. Like, no, we got comms, just use the comms. Space Cadet. Anyway, this is a good looking shot now, right? Because lighting from out here, he's gonna come around, sit here, and you can already tell this is his face, eyeballs, that's half of his face split. This one's gonna be lit up, this one's gonna be dark, okay? And this is what we're going for. So if we go full screen here, let's see what happens. Why did we do that? Boom. Now you are talking. You cannot tell me that this shot doesn't feel more three-dimensional than the flat shot. And all that we have changed inside the room is the angle, right? This shot, it's kind of murky, a little hazy, a little something going on. Don't know exactly where to look. Bam. Yes, please. Transition across the face, light to dark. You set how much you want of this fill by determining whether you're gonna neg over here, whether you're gonna use a big gray over here, or whether you're just gonna leave it for the room to then push back this way, right? But we've got lots of good things here. Again, into the L of the room, along the window, lighting from out here. You can soften from just outside the window. You can push this through with a completely different lamp, right? So you want this light coming this way and then a separate lamp in the background doing this little thing, right? And then you just set the level. And then again, this is like classic art department production design. If you want your commercial to be cool, find a cool location that doesn't have white walls, preferably with wallpaper, preferably in Romania, or what's another good country that you could be in? Somewhere cool, basically. You don't want to be, in your local suburb to try and get this thing done. So pretty cool, right? Depth, even though we're shooting, pretty much flat into the wall, there's no depth. It would be cool if there was like a doorway or something here that would lead to more depth so you could make more layers, but we have to take what the location has given us. Then as we move in, again, just watching this shadow side, as we move in, close-up is really easy, right? It's kind of hard. Everybody always talks about how you don't necessarily want to just plonk the camera straight down the line, so just cut down the line because it can be a little bit off-putting. Here, you can barely even notice it, We go straight in, and now you see the benefits. So, shadow, much darker. This thing, we've positioned it perfectly. Is it in the exact same spot? Looks like it is. And this is a great looking image, right? Room tone in the back is set by that curtain. If we don't have that curtain, then we're not in control of this. You could put a floppy over there, but curtain just so much easier, saves so much time. Then you just set this level relative to this level versus the background level. And now you have your little three balances, and then you bring in your neg at the end just to get the exact amount of shadow that you want. And then in this situation, like where's he looking? See how he looks that way of camera? You just set this eye line on the day to see how much of this you want. If you want to see more of this in the lighting, you just say, hello, Mr. Actor. I don't want to bother you. I know this is a big scene. This is your key moment here. But instead of looking, way over there, just look at this little tiny mark on the matte box. If you want to make this slightly smaller or less pronounced. And then you just don't let the director hear you. And I think that's it from this one. All right, those were the major setups. The only other one I wanted to talk about was, okay, let's do same room with a little bit of haze, please, just to make it feel different. Can we do that? Yes, we can. And oh man, the mirror shot, this one's always a pain. Like you're always just trying to stay out. You've always got to bring the person a little bit left of the mirror in order to block you, because if they're standing smack bang in the middle of the mirror, you end up seeing the camera, right? Or the matte box. You have to tell the first AC, hey, matte box off. We don't need it. Shooting inside. Anyway, that was it. The only other one I wanted to look at here was, that's another one, a little bit moodier. And again, you can tell, as soon as you set up that light, you got the dark, you got the light over the top. There's not much depth here because we're shooting straight down. But if you want more depth, you just come less toppy and shoot more along into the window. And as long as you don't see the window in the background, then you can really set the level based on the diffusion that you put up here. There's one cool bus shot in here. Again, tricky, the trickiest location of them all, the trickiest angle. Like, find a way to talk the director out of that. And then we're out the door. This is a good one, right? Man, we talked about bus stops before, so I won't go on about this one, or bus shots. But if you can pull this shot off in the bus, you're automatically winning. Look at how he is not looking over here. Don't look back in the bus. Don't look straight ahead. Look this way. Not an accident. Why? Because we got light coming from here, and then the shadow happens naturally from the bus, not allowing as much light. It also helps if it's an overcast day, because you don't have as many things to balance. Okay, that is going to do it for this little breakdown. Hopefully that helps. I mean, it is a hard situation. If you pick the wrong, and it's not the wrong corner of the room, but if you pick one corner of the room, you are really handcuffing your ability to create depth, which really is the job, right? To create shape, to create interest, and it's hard to do if you're just looking into two walls. It doesn't matter how good you are, the access that you have to tools, or the camera, or the lenses. If you're in the wrong spot, it's going to look like you're in the wrong spot, basically. So that's our look. Many thanks for checking out the breakdown. If you like this stuff, head over to Patreon, help support the channel, and I appreciate it. We will see you in the next one. Goodbye.